Hey guys, Jay Hoyt here. Before we get into today's video, I want to say thank you guys so much for showing so much love on the channel. All the recent comments and kind words, I can't thank you guys enough for that, but we are still making the push to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to go down below, check to see if you're subscribed. If you're not, make sure you go down there and click that button. Turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload. And don't forget, you can always change your mind later. What's on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you. Today, welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. It won't be much longer till I'm saying that, as the Call of Duty Vanguard beta is right around the corner. And then, of course, we'll have to wait a little bit longer for the full game release. But we got a little compilation of some clips, a couple of 16 kill streaks, as well as just some gameplay from pubs or league play, whatever it may be. I need to get back on and record some more gameplays until Vanguard starts. But a while ago now, I've been planning this video, kind of, me writing down all my points and writing down the things, and everyone's saying, the competitive COD, what would be the best format for it? What would be the best things? Should there be a different, game mode? Should there be this? Should there be that? Here's the thing. Here's what I wanted to get into this entire time, and I want to make the perfect Call of Duty, the perfect competitive Call of Duty, and I think I have 7 different, topics you'd call them, to kind of justify most everything to do with competitive. Some of them have to do with competitive, some have to do with Call of Duty in general. So I'm not going to be going into CDL format or how many teams or what players on which teams. I'm not going to do any of that. So formats are out. But what I'm talking about, you'll see as we go along here. So let's start with the big question, right? Call of Duty was always 4v4 until it got to what? Black Ops 4, I believe, where they went 5v5. Or maybe it was a game before that. I don't exactly remember. But the big question, 4v4, 5v5, which would I rather prefer? 4v4, 100%, right? 5v5 was very crazy and super hard to watch, with so much going on all the time. And it was even getting worse as far as a casual viewer trying to follow what's happening. 5v5 with specialist abilities or payloads or anything. It made it extremely hard to watch. And 5v5 was too crazy. It was a good test, but yeah, definitely not feeling the 5v5 era. Definitely a rough patch in Call of Duty history. But on to question 2, right? Game modes, right? We've had a lot of game modes in competitive Call of Duty and in the games in general, and we got to narrow it down, right? Typically, games have 3 game modes, so that's what I'm going for in this one. So a list of the game modes you've had in the past include Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, Capture the Flag, Control, Uplink, Domination, Blitz, and Demolition. I may be missing 1 or 2 in here, but just from a quick thought and writing it down, that's what I came up with from all the game modes that I remember. I think TDM might have been one back in the day, when early on in competitive, but I'm not really counting that in this list. But my answer to that one, out of those, I don't know how many are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of those 8 game modes, you got to pick 3. Which 3 do you pick? Well, in my opinion, Hardpoint and Search and Destroy are absolutely staple game modes. They provide a good ability for respawn, that you can just be nasty at the game and slay out, and those people that play more objectively, you can combine those talents and have a really good hardpoint team. Then there's the people that love to play a little bit more methodical, slow it down, play your life, value tactics and everything, which is what Search and Destroy is, which, like I said, are staple game modes with no other explanation to them. Definitely gotta have hardpoint and search. But then what would you pick for a 3rd game mode? Well, a lot of people would say Uplink, right? A lot of people loved Uplink. I personally loved Uplink when it was first, developed and first out and everything. But here's the thing. It's only going to be good for jetpack games. So the Advanced Warfare, the Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, it was only good for those 3 games, in my opinion. With boots in the ground CODs, uplink just is not viable for that. So in jetpack games, I would say uplink, but for the rest of the games, all but those 3 games that we've had, I think you either have to go to capture the flag, right, CTF, or control. Now, here's the thing. Here's why I put capture the flag and control in here. Now, control, a very interesting idea for a game mode. You go to the zones, you capture them, you have a certain amount of lives, so it kind of mixes the both game modes in here. But here's the biggest problem, and I know it's just the way people play, and they're just trying to play for the win, but I absolutely hate seeing an offensive team on control 4-stack a point, killing the 1 or 2 people that are there, and then getting the point instantly, and then they work towards that second zone with like 2.5 minutes. It's not very fun to watch. So there is some problems with control. There is more, but I'm not going to go into every single little detail over control. But capture the flag can be kind of boring at times, but I actually enjoyed it, right? Back in the day, CTF used to be one of my favorite game modes, right? We all played it in school, in gym class, and recess and everything, where you played it, you got to capture the flag, bring it back to your own base, and capture it. But here's the problem is there's some games that play faster paced than others. So CTF was always kind of boring in some game modes. Then they created uplink, then they created control. So some of those games, like I said, played faster paced, and it was more entertaining to watch. And it also, you have to keep track of players, or where was that player last seen, or how many players did we just kill? Did we spawn them out? There's a lot more to CTF than just running, grabbing the flag, and coming back, and maybe getting in a gunfight along the way. It's a lot of methodical gameplay. So for a third game mode, for boots on the ground CODs, I would go to the CTF or control. I probably should have renumbered some of these, but we're going to go into the attachment system. Now, what I mean by that, so we're going to go back in the day, right, with I'm going to call it basic attachments, right, your quick draw, your grip, your stock, your extended mag, your long barrel, right? You guys all remember those if you've played a Call of Duty ever. You guys remember that, right? Now, there was obviously an explanation for those things. Obviously, grip stabilizes your gun more. Quick draw, you can aim down sight faster. Stock helps you with mobility. You guys know that. But now you have what I'm going to consider the advanced system with the 7.26 or the 7.62 round jungle barrel, or the Spetsnaz speed grip, or you guys know what I'm talking about, these last couple of Call of Duties, where the 7.62 jungle barrel might help your ADS time, or your bullet velocity, or this or that, and it's way too complicated for no reason, and that kind of already gets my answer out there. But I would prefer the basic system, no question about it, right? Having all these super complicated attachments in the system, who cares, right? We don't care that much about what barrel's on there. Like, the customization is like, okay, if you were into a super slow, methodical type game, this might fit a little bit better. But for Call of Duty, why are we reinventing the wheel over something that works fine already? Now, yes, it was kind of boring where everything was using quick draw, stock, grip, or whatever. But I don't feel the need to have this advanced system in there. There's no reason to make it super complicated for no reason. Our next question, or our next topic, if you will, is the Pick 10 system. So if you guys don't remember what it is, it's on your screen now. This is actually from Black Ops 2 back in the day. So if you look at it, you have your lightweight, your flak jacket, hardline, ghost. I think all those circle things are the things that either were in competitive or were used in competitive. I'm not exactly sure. But you see a lot of these perks and a lot of this stuff was used in competitive. So you have a lot of options there, especially with snipers and grenades and flashbangs, and you have EMPs in here. Trophy systems was a tactical, not a field order. Obviously, you got lots of wild cards there. You have lots of different options you could use. I actually think Fast Hands was in here as well for a perk too, but still, you got lots of options there. So this was the pick 10 system. These are just the perks, but you kind of get the idea of it. And I'm not exactly sure what you call the system they have now, but I'm going to call it the mess that it is now. So it's not really a pick 10 system because you have everything, right? You pick your primary gun, you pick your secondary gun, you have a grenade and a tactical guaranteed, you have a field order, you have as many attachments as you want, feels like, on each gun. You can have up to 8, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then you keep going. You have your entire class. You have 3 perks. You have some wild cards. And it's a whole mess of complicated nothingness. So which one would I pick? It's probably pretty clear. I'd rather have the pick 10 system, right? For everything you want on your class, it's going to cost you a point, right? Out of your 10 points, if you have an AR, right? Just say you have your M8. You want a red dot sight, boom, you're at 2 points. You want stock, probably, maybe quick draw. That's 5 things already, right? You got a couple of perks in there, maybe not a secondary, right? You're racking up your points pretty quickly. So you got to be careful of what you add to your gun and to your class in order to make it good. Plus, that way you don't have everything under the sun on your class at all times. But pick 10 is just a superior system. If you wanted to add a couple of points on there, then fine. But I'm going to call it the pick 10 system. Pretty straightforward. A much better system. Now this one's relatively a quick one. Special abilities. Yes, no. Here's where the one thing I'm kind of in the middle on out of most of these things. And they create big moments on, in the plays and with the jetpack era and with the advanced movement era. But in boots in the ground, you can't really have active camo, or you can't really have heat wave or kinetic armor or, a bow and, or not the bow, what's it called? The combat bow or the sparrow, or I don't remember half the names now, but you can't have that stuff in boots in the ground. And with these older style Call of Duties, you can't have that. So I think with the advanced movement and those, new modern games, they wouldn't be a bad idea to add. But for boots in the ground, it's like Uplink earlier, it's not going to work in older style games. So kind of in the middle on them. Do I want them? If it's a new one, advanced movement, jetpacks, then yeah, maybe. But for boots on the ground, you can't have them. It just really wouldn't work. So then here's one is, I don't want to say a complete, personal choice here, but I put 5 to 10, but I actually picked, I think, 10 in the end. But pick 10 maps to star in the game. Now, I'm talking about competitive only. Obviously, you got to have way more maps than that in this one. But in my opinion, would be a pretty good list of maps, at least to start with. I do have some honorable mentions here at the end. And of course, some of these would be interchangeable if it was jetpacks versus boots in the ground. But we're going to go into it as the Black Ops 2 trio. I don't think it's really a question. Slums, Raid, and Standoff, like I said, all from Black Ops 2. When you think of the best competitive maps of all time, those 3 are probably in your top 10, most likely your top 5. So those 3, kind of no issues, no questions about those ones. But let's move to the next Black Ops game. That's Black Ops 3. Everybody knows how much I loved Fringe in Black Ops 3. But there's actually another map that could be pretty decent for some of the game modes. Obviously, did have its problems, but it still was a pretty good map in my opinion. So you had Fringe, and then you have Infection. Now, if you guys don't remember that, that's the snowy map that has like the whole city like on its side or whatever on the, I guess the wall. I don't really know what you call it. But I actually really enjoyed that map, especially for competitive. Hard point, you have to rotate, search and destroy. You have lots of lanes. Even though it's basically 3 lanes, you still have lots of it, obviously, with wall running and everything. It was an interesting map, but even for boots on the ground, if some of the places were built out differently, just a hair, it worked for boots on the ground. So, in my opinion, it was a pretty good map. Obviously, tell me your thoughts and everything down in the comments. But the next one from World War II, we actually have another trio of maps. That's going to be London Docks. Ardennes Forest, and Sainte Marie du Mont. Now, this one could be a controversial pick, Ardennes Forest. Now, London Docks was arguably, probably the best map in the game in that game. Ardennes Forest, a lot of people got super annoyed with, but in my opinion, it wasn't that horrible of a map, where you had head glitches, you had lots of play, you had smokes in that game, so it actually was a pretty enjoyable map until it got super repetitive of the same routes and everything. So, like I said, a lot of these could be interchanged with a bunch of these honorable mentions, but either way, Sainte Marie du Mont, pretty good map all around. Had basically 3 lanes, had a lot of good movement on the map. Definitely was a big fan of that map when it was World War II. But on to Infinite Warfare, we're going to have Throwback. Now this one was a trains in the middle, had I think all 3 game modes on it as well. And I thought it was a pretty good map, right? Even if you flattened out the underpass where the bomb site was on the one side of the map, even if you flatten that out, I still feel like that'd be a really good map. It has a lot of good variables to it, has some cuts that you can get to, and overall I actually think that was probably the best map in Infinite Warfare. But of course that might change depending on who you talk to. But our last one is going to be Sovereign from Ghost. Now this one, a lot of stuff going on this map, right? A lot of moving parts, a lot of everything going on this map. Now, like I said, again, I'm going to say it again for like the millionth time, a lot of these maps could be interchangeable, depending on how you guys felt about each map. But this one, from Ghost, could be a pretty good map. Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, CTF/Control. Could have been an interesting one, especially given the history going back to Ghosts. But some honorable mentions. Seaside from Black Ops 3, Biolab from Advanced Warfare, Comeback from Advanced Warfare, Detroit from Advanced Warfare, Recovery from Advanced Warfare, Retreat from Advanced Warfare, and Solar from Advanced Warfare. A lot of those maps could be used for competitive. Some of them, if they were laid out a little bit differently, could have been perfect for any of these upcoming games. As well as we move on to Ghost, you had Freight, Octane, and Warhawk. Those are some maps as well that are honorable mentions that could be used to start in the game. Maybe you put some of them in for certain game modes, or maybe not, but honorable mentions nonetheless. But now we've talked about pretty much everything to do with a competitive COD. Like I said, without the format and without the teams and the players and everything, is the guns. Now, I've laid it out into the 4 roles of the average four-person team, right? You have the aggressive submachine gun, you have a support submachine gun, a flex AR, and a main AR. Now, over the years, we've seen a lot of guns for competitive, as you can see on your screen now. I didn't know what it was pre-Black Ops 2, and obviously we don't know it for Vanguard, but everything else in the middle, you can see it. So, starting with Cold War in this game, the main guns you used was the AK-74U and the Krieg. I know at the start of the game, obviously, there was the M4, and along the way, there's a few different guns. But for most of the year, for most of the time, the Krieg and the AK-74U were the 2 guns that everyone used. Modern Warfare was MP5, M4. Black Ops 4 was the SOG. Now, this is a pretty good example. You have the SOG as the submachine gun. You have Maddox, and then you have the ICR. So the Max was the flex gun, and there's 1 ICR. So usually there was 2 Maddoxes, 2 subs, and a main AR in that game. In World War II, it was the PPSH for the sub, the STG, and the BAR for the AR role. Infinite Warfare, you had the ERAD for the SMG, the K-Bar as the flex, and the NV4. I kind of like that mix up with 2 subs, a flex gun, and then a main AR. Right, I don't want one gun to do it all, right? With early game AK-74U, a lot of people were using it long range, and especially me, I was a lot better when that thing shot halfway across the map, personally. But moving on to Black Ops 3, you had the VMP and the CUDA as kind of the 2 main SMGs. The M8 and the Man of War was kind of the main ARs, but of course with Ban and Protect and everything in that game, a lot of other guns got used, more often than not. Back to Advanced Warfare, you had the ASM-1 and the BAL as the sub and then AR. Ghost, you had the Vector SMG along with the MTAR as well as the Remington. I believe there were some other guns that were used in that game, but those were kind of the main 3. Black Ops 2, you had the MSMC and the Scorpion as the submachine guns, and you had the M8 and the AN-94 as your ARs. So you've seen a lot of different guns over the years. Now, what would be the best guns for these individual roles? So let's start with the aggressive SMG role, the submachine gun role. Those up in your face, fast paced, first the tip of the spear. What are you gonna have, or what would you want for that gun? My options, I gave 2 for each here. So I put the SOG from Black Ops 3 as well as this Scorpion from Black Ops 2. Both those guns, pretty high fire rate. If you can control the recoil, it worked pretty well. Both those guns kind of fit that the best way possible. Then the support SMG, I have the MSMC from Black Ops 2 and the PPSH from World War II. Some of these guns were really good at long range, so I try not to pick those guns that were do-it-all weapons. But of course, I did list the do-it-all SMGs and the do-it-all ARs as well at the bottom. So we'll get to that in a second. But onto the Flex AR role, pretty self-explanatory. The Maddox from Black Ops 4, the K-Bar from Infinite Warfare. I had those under the same one because they were kind of basically the same gun. And then the AN-94 from Black Ops 2. All three of those guns kind of did the same thing. I still am waiting to see the AK-47 used for an entire year as the main gun. Just personally, I don't know what it is. I'd love to see it. It's always been a pretty decent gun in every game, but never really the main gun. So I'd love to see that eventually. Because I know at the start of Cold War, a lot of people were using it, but of course with all the million attachments you can add to it, it was extremely overpowered and somewhat broken most of the year. But onto the main AR role, you always have the M8, right? Whatever the burst gun is usually always one of the best guns in the game. I put Black Ops 2 in this one because the M8 from Black Ops 3 was basically like a one burst machine. So it's hard to put that one in here. But the M8 from Black Ops 2 or the Remington from Ghosts was a really good gun for the main AR role, right? You couldn't really run a gun with it, but it shot straight, and that's kind of what you needed. I wanted to put the ICR here from Black Ops 4, but these two kind of fill the need because the M8 was in a lot of games and was that main AR role, so it's hard not to put the M8 in there. And then I always thought the Remington was a pretty good gun, underrated at times. So that's a pretty good list for me. But then you have the do-it-all weapons. On this one, I only put 2 in here. That being the Vector from Ghost, which is probably no question about it. Had the fire rate, it had the range, and it was overall super overpowered. And then from the do-it-all AR role, you have the M4 from Modern Warfare. That gun was just absolutely insane, and you could do about anything you wanted with it, and it would work regardless. But I definitely went on for longer than I wanted to, so this is going to be definitely a fun one to edit. But at the end of the day, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to hit the like button down below. Leave all of your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to put all the answers and all the questions I had down in the comments. I want you guys to answer it down there. Like I said, we have 7 of them. I'll leave them all blank. You guys answer it how you want. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions down below in that comment section. Of course, if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new to my channel, hit the subscribe button down there as well. Turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload. And don't forget, you can always change your mind later. But with all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.